All right, I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about cosine today. So hopefully you've already watched the videos about the sine. So for sine, if you recall, we were talking about our little Ferris wheel here, and if this was the seat, then these would be straight down. We had each of these values going on here. So the direction for this is vertical for sine. And really, we were talking about that it was from the ground. In terms of our coordinates, if I was looking at this point, this would be my x-coordinate and this would be my y-coordinate. So these do get to have my y-coordinates. Now, for cosine, what I had my students do is draw these horizontal lines. The cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which ends up being this distance here, which we would call the horizontal, or the x-coordinate, or we would say it's from the pole, if you will, this being the pole. I would put ground in quotes as well, since there really isn't a ground there. All right, so what we need to just recall is that we really have three values that we're talking about here. We have our short, we have our medium, we have our long. So we have our 1/2, our root 2 over 2, and our root 3 over 2. We also have this value here, which is 0. And we have the full value of our hypotenuse, not our hypotenuse, of our radius, which is equal to 1. So those are all the values that we, let's see if I can move that over. Those are all the values that we have. All right, so now we need to see if we can actually put all of this stuff in here. So cos of 150, this is our 180, this is our 360 / 0. So 180 would be, 150 would be 30 back from the 180, so we're talking about this little section right here. If we're talking about cosine, this is the long one, but it is in the negative direction. So remember, all the x's are negative in this way, and all the x's are positive in this way. So for cosine, it's positive in those guys, and negative in those guys. Let's look at some others. So we, number 45, or cosine of 45 would be right here. 45 degrees up from there. Remember, this was 30, 45, and 60, so that is part of what you need to memorize. And that is our medium length that we're talking about. So we have our root 2 over 2. It is in the positive direction, so that's good. Cos of 120. Cos of 120 is 60 back from 180, so we go back here. We're sitting right here at this short leg, which is 1/2, but it is also in the negative direction. Whereas for cos of 300 here, we're talking about 60 back from the 360. So now we're talking still the 1/2 because it is the short, but it is our positive. Let's look at two other examples here. We have our 0 degrees. We're talking this entire length. This is the whole radius, which is equal to 1. Whereas 270 is down here, and that is on the pole, and so its distance is equal to 0 from the pole. Let's just look at these guys as well. So for these here, we're trying to figure out the two spots that it would be 1/2. So this is a short one here, and this is a short one here. So this is 60 up, and this is 60 in this direction. So 360 minus 60 would give us 300. Let's look at this one. We are talking about the negative, so we're talking about over here. We are talking about the medium length, so we are talking about here and here. So we're going to have 45 back here, which is 135, and we're going to have 45 up here, which is 2,